Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at Orbeetle VMAX. The lovely Talonite X over on Twitter has gone and shared some Orbeetle VMAX lists. You see, it's been winning. It's been winning a bit. And I'm still not convinced, and the lovely Talonite X on Twitter has also said essentially the same thing, that they are just not convinced it's a particularly good deck. But we got 3 winning lists we can show you, and it certainly seems to be doing alright for now, so I think we might actually have to take this just a little bit seriously. So starting off then, Orbeetle VMAX. Essentially here, what we've got is an ability that once during your turn, if this is your active Pokemon, you may put 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon. It is very much worth bearing in mind that if you can get multiple Orbeetle in and out the active, you can drop multiple damage counters. That is very important. Its attack isn't great. 2 energy, 50 damage plus 50 from each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So you can definitely punish them if they attach too much energy. And then in terms of Orbeetle V, before you get the whole VMAX going, you've got a weaker version of that attack, which is 50 damage plus 30 for each energy attached to your opponent's active. Or you can do 20 and switch to the bench for a single energy. So these Orbeetle decks really do seem to be relying on essentially spreading a whole bunch of damage round and taking advantage from there. And we've got 3 different lists. So what we're going to do is rather than try and run through every single card, we're going to try and give you a little bit of a flavour of the deck and then show you the lists at the end. But to answer your questions, no, this is not a pre-rotation, it's never going to work deck. This is the kind of thing that you will want to be using post-rotation. It will work quite nicely. So the deck really is all built around spreading damage using Orbeetle VMAX's ability. So what we need is some Pokemon that can take advantage of it. And one of those is the Roxy combination. Now I know we like to go Pokemon energy supporters, but I'm afraid Roxy needs to be mentioned here. Because Roxy's got that ability as a supporter, and you discard 2 Pokemon other than GXs and EXs from your hand and draw 3 cards for each one discarded in this way. And then you've got Weezing, and the list we've seen really is a Weezing list, whereby if it's discarded with Roxy, you then do 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon or place 1 damage counter, which is obviously a pretty gosh darn good thing. Now, there is one really nice option which is rotating, which is a little bit sad, but having said that, I'm looking at all 3 deck lists and it was only played in one of them. It's Yveltal GX. That's a GX attack that for a single energy gets an automatic KO on anything if there's exactly 4 damage counters on. Clearly, that's going to be a good thing when you're dropping damage around using Orbeetle, but it's not the end of the world. What is a much better option if you're going for Darkness Pokemon is Sableye. Sableye is the one whereby you do 10 damage base, but you do 60 damage for each damage counter on the Pokemon already. That adds up crazy fast. Get it? 'Cause it's called Crazy Claws. I'm here all week. But we also see that 2 of the 3 decks here play Flapple. I love Flapple. Flapple's one that came around in Rebel Clash, and it's got the lovely ability Apple Drop that lets you place 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck. I.e., extra damage. So now you're spreading damage around with Flapple, and you're spreading damage around with Orbeetle, and it should be adding up pretty gosh darned quickly. It is worth pointing out that 2 of the lists play Flapple, and the one that doesn't play Flapple is the one that plays the Roxy Weezing combination. Now, one of my favourite little tricks that people play here is actually playing it with Pheromosa and Buzzwole. Now, this is actually a really cool little trick, because Pheromosa and Buzzwole, I mean, you've got Jet Punch, 30 to the active, 30 to the bench for a single energy. Not bad when you're spreading damage around. but I love Beast Game GX. Now, in this deck, you're not getting 8 energy attached to it, don't get excited. But you do 50 damage, it's a GX attack, once per game of course, and if you take a KO, then you get to actually take an extra prize. So, this is very cool because you spread damage around, you get a 2 or 3 prize Pokemon, or maybe even a 1 prize Pokemon, but hopefully not, down to having 50 or less HP remaining, then you come in and take the KO with Pheromosa and Buzzwole, getting yourself an extra prize in the process. Very, very cool. Now, what we do see, we actually see 2 different versions of the same thing. You see, one list plays Esper, and another list plays the new Barraskewda. Same attack, different attack costs. Barraskewda is a stage 1 for a single water energy. Esper is a basic, but it's for a psychic double colorless. But each of them does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each damage counter on that Pokemon. Or to put it another way, you basically treble the amount of damage that is on them, which is clearly a very, very good thing when the whole point of your deck is spreading a whole bunch of damage around. Now, we've also got the rather lovely Persian that came around in Unbroken Bonds. Gathering of Cats is the ability. Ignore all energy in the attack costs of each of your Pokemon in play that has the Cat a Day attack. So essentially what you're doing here is you're playing Persian so that you can then use Esper's attack for free. And it's kind of awkward because you've got to get your stage 1 Persian out before you can be attacking with Esper. But you're then playing an extremely low energy deck and then you're spreading damage around and attacking for free. So you know what? I'm kind of in favour of it. And we do see one of the lists actually play a cheeky copy of Rowlet. You see, Rowlet's got the lovely ability whereby if you've played Birdkeeper this turn, you get to attack for free, and then for free colourless energy, you do 60 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And remember, we're a deck that's spreading around damage, so this is absolutely in keeping with that. But remember, you want to be switching in and out with Orbeetle, because Orbeetle's attacks are fine but not particularly good, and if you switch around, you can spread extra damage. So clearly you're going to be playing a bunch of Birdkeeper anyway, and this works kinda beautifully. Now, we do see one list does play Mew to protect your bench, which I don't think is particularly out of order. We see one list that does play Fiona to force your opponent to switch their active, which again makes a bit of sense. And one of the lists does play the new Snorlax. That's the one whose ability is Tropical Beach. Draw till you got 7 cards in your hand, and then your turn ends. So essentially we can sum it up as Orbeetle, and then other ways to spread damage or take advantage of and amplify damage. That is basically what this deck tends to do. Now, in terms of energy, there's a bunch of different places you can go. Obviously, if you want to play stuff like Sableye, you've got to be playing some kind of darkness energy. That should be fairly obvious. Clearly, grass energy is going to be pretty good because you're going to be attacking with your grass Pokemon a lot. That kind of makes sense. And then that means you're probably also going to be playing Aroma Grass energy. That's the new special energy that basically makes you immune to special conditions. Although having said that, there's only actually one of the 3 decks that plays it somehow, which seems weird to me. But hey-ho. And then Capture Energy is one we see quite a bit here. Capture Energy is the one where you attach it and you get to search out a basic Pokemon. Clearly that helps you get set up. 2 of the 3 decks play it, and the one that doesn't is the one that plays all the different type attackers where you do need to muck about with your energy a little bit. The darkness one. Now, in terms of trainers, I don't intend going through every single trainer. That would be a little bit silly and take a very long time. Clearly, Birdkeeper is a very good option supporter-wise because it lets you switch to another Orbeetle or attacker and it activates Rowlet, which is really very nice. Clearly, we're also quite a fan of Roxy if we're playing Weezing. That should go without saying. And we do see a bunch of switching cards like Switch, like U-Turn Board, because if you can get multiple Orbeetle in and out the active, you can get multiple abilities, but also just, you know what? you need to get your attacker in the active. Now, in terms of things that are being rotated, I am really not worried. There is one card which is a little bit sad. You are losing Netball here. That's the one that lets you search for a basic grass Pokemon or basic grass energy. But you've got Quick Ball, you've got Great Ball, you've got Evolution Incense, you've got Pokemon Communication, you've got options here for Pokemon Search. And you've also got Turffield Stadium, which should be an absolute given here. And we do see it popping up in all three of the decks, because Turffield Stadium lets you search your deck for an evolved grass Pokemon. Yes, that includes the VMAX. So clearly that's going to be something that you absolutely want to be having a play around with. The new Longview Scope tool is another one that you should very much be considering if you're using Pokemon that hit the bench. It just allows your attacks to do 30 more to benched GX and V Pokemon, so clearly that's a pretty good option for any of your Pokemon that are going to be hitting the bench. Honestly, what you really need here is switching cards and just setup cards. You need to be able to switch, you need to be able to find your Pokemon. They are by far the biggest issues for this deck. Once you've got that, you're good. Starting off then with the Darkness list, this is the one that plays Sableye and Yveltal and also plays Pheromosa and Buzzwole. It is the Roxy list that plays Wheezing, not Coughing, just Wheezing. But you can see their energy line is a little bit awkward here. The second list is the one that plays Flapple and Barraskewda and plays that one-off Rowlet, and then also plays Snorlax for a little bit of extra draw. And then the third list here is the one that plays Flapple and has the Caturday suite. So you've got the Esper to hit the bench and you've got the Persian to attack for free. And that, of course, really opens up your energy so you can play majority capture energy with just a few grass energy to finish off. I don't know how much I like Orbeetle VMAX, but the fact of the matter is we've got three pretty different winning lists. And they've all got different tricks, and there are certainly a lot of different things we can do to have a lot of fun with this. So you know what? I think it is absolutely something worth bearing in mind. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to know what you think about this and whether you think this is going to be a viable deck moving forward. So go nuts in the comment section, would ya? But be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.